Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope that you're all well and safe and taking care of yourselves. If you're new here, my name's Emily and today I'm going to be sharing with you some recent favourites, and I absolutely love watching favourites videos. They are some of my favourite things to consume on YouTube, but I personally can't keep up with doing favourites every month. So I like the idea of doing like an almost quarterly favourites, or almost like every few months, you know, looking at what I've been playing with, what I've been working with, what I've really been enjoying, and some of the highlights that I want to share with everyone. So I'm really excited to get stuck in and show you some of the bits that I've got. I've got some decks, I've got some books, I've got some journals, I've got some other little witchy things to share. So I will just get right on in and start off. Where should I start? So I will start with decks, and I'm not going to put this in any order because, to be honest, I can't remember an order, but I will, just try and get through it as speedily as possible. These are some of the decks that I've been really enjoying in the past few months that are mostly new to my collection, and I've been sort of accumulating over the last few months, so I will share those with you now. I have spoken about the Mina Tarot before on a couple of my other videos. I've really been enjoying this deck so much. This is the French edition I picked up from amazon.co.uk. I believe that the independent version is sold out currently. I have wanted this deck for a while, but it was never available, or it was expensive at the time and the shipping's expensive, etc. So I never took the plunge. But when I saw this on Simon at the Hermit's Caves channel and somebody mentioned that the French version is on Amazon, I thought, well, I'm just going to go for it because it was about £27, and although the book is in French and I cannot read it, sadly, the book is stunning though. I will say the book is stunning, and you do get these beautiful colour images. So, you know, I'm not going to cut it up, but if I wanted to, I suppose I could. I'm not going to cut it up. I'm hoping one day that I might learn how to read it or that maybe I'll be able to get my hands on an English version of the guidebook. I'm just keeping it in the box, you know, keeping it nice. The box is beautiful, by the way. I'm not sure what the independent version of the deck is like, but this is the French edition of the mass market, and it comes with a little box as well inside. It's a bit like the Wild Unknown box, and you get this lovely ribbon as well that you can keep your deck in. I've had my deck out because I've been working with it, and that's why I'm sharing it with you here. The Wild Unknown is also a deck that came into my collection rather recently because it's a deck that I just held off on getting for so long, and it's really interesting. I do want to share some stuff about that deck because I've been working with it a lot with my son. He is obsessed with it. He absolutely loves that deck, and it's becoming a bit of a like thing for us. I actually think that he's going to end up taking the deck from me, and I think I'd like to pick up the Spirit Animal Oracle as well to go with. For him, he's just absolutely loving it, so I will share a little bit about that, I think, in another video coming up soon, but that's one of the reasons why I haven't featured it here. Off topic, back to the Mina Tarot. So I have been working with this quite frequently since I picked it up. I've done a walkthrough as I'm filming this. I've not yet shared it, but hopefully I will share it at some point soon. But here is the gilding that I have done. I've just used one of those Brilliance stamps in the gold to do that, and because of the cardstock, it wiped clean really nicely, so there was no worry about that. I just love this deck so much, and I really enjoy the titles in French, actually. Yeah, it doesn't hinder me reading it at all. I just think it's such a beautiful deck and I get so much from it. So I've really enjoyed working with this. I find it so beautiful, so vibrant, so colourful. I love the illustrations. They are so special. So for me, this has been a really fun deck to work with. I'm not so sure if it's that seasonal or anything. I think you could use this all year round. I think it works really well to be used all year round. So this is one of my favourites. I have shared it in a couple of the other VRs I've done and such because I've been working with it so much and I've really loved it. But I did want to share it because it is kind of a bit of a special thing. I think that if it's still available on amazon.co.uk, then picking this up, I think it's a really good deal. Even if you can't read the guidebook, I think this is such a beautiful deck. I'm so happy to have it. A couple of decks I won't labour over too long because everyone knows what they look like, but are new in my collection is the Menara Tarot for one. Again, I've mentioned this. This is the second edition, but it's not the first release of the second edition, if that makes sense. I know that because of the silver gilding. These are the backs. Most people in the community know about the Menara and its power and intensity. The art is incredibly stunning. It just works so well, I think, for all kinds of readings. I think there's a romance to it and a softness as well as kind of like a harshness. And it actually, I really feel this like Wheel of the Year vibe from it as well, because it's got that sort of cyclical kind of nature and spirit. It feels very raw, it feels very real. I feel like I can work through all kinds of manners of issues and problems of my own, I think eventually I'd probably like to work with this deck with other people, but for now this is rather a personal deck. Yeah, there's so much that I can work through here. There's a lot of sort of challenging depictions that I feel when I'm reading with this, but it's not challenging in a kind of like harsh way. It's just challenging because it gets you to look at those things, and I love it for that. But like the art, I've always known that I adore the art in this deck, and now to have a copy of it, it's just been so beautiful to work with, and it's really been singing for me when I've used it in readings. I love it so much, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. So yeah, I've really enjoyed working with the Marielle for the last few months. And the second deck that I'm not going to talk about too much because most people know what this deck is and how it looks is the Llewellyn Tarot. This is Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot made me do it because I have long enjoyed seeing this deck on her channel. I just love the illustrations. I believe this artist also illustrated Legend the Arthurian Tarot, which is another deck I have and love. So the art really does feel familiar to me and I enjoy it. It's got really nice kind of Rider-Waite-Smith parallels. It very much sort of matches up, but there's just new ways to depict the cards, and I really enjoy it. I think it's beautiful and it's a lovely deck. I have gotten some really clear readings from it, actually, really clear, and I want to work with it more and more. So this is out at the moment all the time. I would quite like to think about modding it at some point, but I don't want to get rid of the titles. I think that would just make things a little bit more tricky when you've got, for instance, like the King of Pentacles and the Emperor. If it's not a Rider-Waite-Smith, I think that sometimes those two figures, they can look similar. But you know, for ease, I think I probably wouldn't want to get rid of the titles. So I would think about how to do that. But for now, I'm happy with it as it is. I'm really enjoying working with this. It's a lovely deck. I think one of the most recent decks to arrive is this Sacred Island Celtic Moon Oracle deck, and I saw this on Hazel Jane Tarot's channel, and I've been chatting with the creator of that channel, and it's so lovely to get to know them. I think this is such a beautiful deck, and I didn't know anything about it. Because I work with the Morrigan, I do like to read native Irish sources. Laura O'Brien, for instance, on YouTube has the Irish Pagan School. I've taken a couple of courses, paid courses at the Irish Pagan School about the Morrigan, and it's just such a wonderful way to learn about the culture and the mythology and, you know, the true heritage basically of Ireland. And I purchased this from an Irish website, and I believe the creators are Irish as well, and I just fell in love with the imagery as well when I saw it on Hazel Jane's channel. So you've got the Triskelly there. In this deck you've got the different moon phases, you've got different sacred sites, and then you've got like keywords, and you have different goddesses as well. You have the goddess Macha. Macha is one of the aspects of the Morrigan in the Celtic lore, and there is also a card for Brigitte, which is ideal for anyone working with Brigitte, and several other goddesses as well. We've got the summer solstice there. So it's sort of very much working with the wheel of the year. There's Danu and Irish heritage, and I just love that. The Rathcroghan sacred site, I believe that's Cave of the Cats, which is a sacred site for the Morrigan. Here is the depiction of the Morrigan, and you have renewal. Emain Macha sacred site, so one of Macha's sacred sites. This particular site feels very resonant for me. When I saw this card in particular, I had all these goosebumps that came up. It was just, yeah, really powerful. I would absolutely love to one day have a pilgrimage to some of the sacred sites because I feel very connected to those sites. There's the goddess Macha, and power is the keyword. And this is just a beautiful deck. I'm so pleased that I found this deck, and I would not have found it without Hazel Jane Tarot, so thank you so much. I absolutely love watching your channel. Massive shout out to Hazel Jane Tarot's channel. In a recent video when she shared this deck, she sang at the end of the video, and it was so beautiful. I believe it was a song about Brigitte actually. But definitely, if you haven't already subscribed, please do go over to her channel and give her some love, because her channel is so wonderful. And especially if you are interested in any of the Irish deities as well, like Brigitte or the Morrigan. I know that Hazel Jane is learning how to speak Irish and learning a lot about the culture and the heritage, and being an Irish person, she's definitely a great resource, I think, for anyone who's interested in those things. So thank you to Hazel Jane Tarot for this recommendation. I'm loving it. Next up is a deck that I picked up from an amazing creator on YouTube, and it is none other than the incredible Jess from Stellar Rain Dancer, Stellar Tarot, and this is a copy of the Daughters of the Moon Tarot, and it came in this bag that I believe Jess made herself, and this is a deck that I wanted for so long. And I think before Jess did her deck roundup, she mentioned a few decks that she was looking for new homes for, and this was one of them. And because I've been searching for this deck for so long and I've never found it on eBay or anything where I actually trust that it's, you know, exactly how I would want it, I've never gone for it. But I was so happy to get this from Jess, and it was so lovely chatting to Jess. She's such a wonderful light in the community, fantastic creator, and I absolutely love her videos and I look forward to them every time they come out. But this deck has been really powerful, working with the moon phases, working with my moon cycle, working with some trauma as well and some release, and yeah, just sort of that mother wound that I feel very much is kind of something I'm working through at the moment. But of course you don't have to be a mother or indeed you don't have to be a mother, you don't have to be a woman to enjoy this deck. This is called Daughters of the Moon, but it doesn't mean you have to be female or anything, of course, to work with it. It's just the theme. And it's got different deities represented. I love all of the illustrations. It is a beautiful deck. It's slightly different. It doesn't follow a traditional system, and I do have a little slip here. This has got some meanings about some of the cards, but it doesn't have 4 court cards, instead it has 3, so it is slightly different for that reason. I would like to get my hands on the book by Fiona Morgan, but that is quite hard to get hold of. So at the moment I am working with this deck. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so chuffed as well that I picked it up from Jess, someone who I know and love in the community. It just means a lot more as well coming from her. So I'm really happy to have this. I've been loving working with it. It's definitely been a favourite in the last few months. The Lonely Dreamer Tarot is a deck that I ordered at the end of last year, and it arrived in a really timely way. This is the 2nd edition by M. Wotherspoon, and it is art by Adilio Redon, and I featured this in my Tarot on the Menu video VR to Paper Moon. It is such a beautiful deck that reminds me of a French bistro, and I talked about this in that video. But it is such a beautiful deck, and I work with it really intuitively actually. I think it's stunning. It wasn't originally for a tarot deck. It's paintings taken and they've been manipulated. For instance, I believe the creator sort of added in the cups, etc., to create the meanings. But I just adore this deck. It is beautiful and it's so intense and deep. The art is just incredibly stunning, and I've just been absolutely loving working with this. I feel like it's almost a little bit like the Falakos Tarot. Obviously different kind of art and everything, but I'm kind of working with it in a similar kind of way, in the way it speaks to me, the way I get messages from it. To be honest, I've hardly looked at the guidebook, but it is a lovely slim little guidebook with some lovely little meanings in it, so it's really nice to have a little guidebook with it. But it's just such a beautiful deck. I get goosebumps when I work with it. It's so beautiful, and it's one of my favourites. It really is one of my favourites in my collection. I'm so glad to have it. So that is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 2nd edition by M. Wotherspoon. A deck that I was planning to pick up for a while for working with the Morrigan is this deck called the Transformational Oracle of the Morrigan, and this is by Bella Soil, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong and I apologise, and the illustrator is Igor Alexandra. And I have the deck out all the time. It's got this beautiful silver gilding edging, and it has different types of cards. So you can see here you've got these black cards and you've got these red backed cards, and they have this beautiful feather on them. And the red cards are archetypes, and you can work with them in different ways. There's a guidebook that goes along with that I've read, and it's got some information about working with the Morrigan, some rituals that you can use alongside the cards, and it's got some ways that you can do different types of readings. So what I've been doing at the moment is either I've been selecting a card from here, or I've been shuffling this little pile and waiting for one of these cards to fall out. So here you've got the Warrior Queen, Prophetess, the Queen, the Lover, the Shapeshifter, the Crone, the Motivator, the Sorceress, the Washer at the Ford, which if you're familiar with any of her lore, that is where that comes from, the Healer, the Provider. There is also another card, but I did a reading with it and it's out on my altar at the moment, so I've not brought that here. Then you have these black backed cards, and these are more themes and images alongside the lore. So you have the Crown, the Battlefield, the Air, the sun, you have things like the eel, the horse, and we have this beautiful card here, which is the meeting, which I believe is speaking to the meeting with the Dagda over the river. So yeah, there's just some beautiful, beautiful imagery, beautiful illustrations in here, and you can work with it in a really kind of intuitive way. It's just beautiful to really like get deep messages, deep, profound sort of understanding and connect with the Morrigan. I will do a walkthrough if anyone wants to see more about this deck as well, because I've been loving using this deck for the last few months. I picked up the Moon Void Tarot at the beginning of the year and I've been loving this deck. It is so, so beautiful. I do seem to have quite a lot of moon themed decks now, but that's okay because I work with the moon a lot and I love the black and white. I really do enjoy black and white decks actually. I love the simplicity. Not simple in a kind of rudimentary way though, because it's so complex and deep and beautiful. But I just love, as I said, like the monochromatic aesthetic of it, and I love these starry backs and everything. And then you've got these pops of colour, the red here, which makes it really powerful, I think. And I feel like I resonate with this figure. Actually, Julie at Peekaboo Rose recently discussed this and talked about how she relates to the figure in the card, and I really, really get that. Like, I really feel that. And I feel like it's such a healing deck to use as well for various different things. I think I could use this for shadow work, for sort of like exploration, for transformational work. And I mean, actually, to be honest, isn't that what the tarot is, to be honest? I'm always looking for that from the tarot. This is such a beautiful card, the Empress. So I've loved, loved, loved this deck. And I've been working with this a lot, but I've also been playing with it a lot. Like, I've been shuffling with it and looking at the images and really delving deep into the images and how I feel about the images and how they speak to me. And yeah, it's kind of one of those decks that sort of gives me goosebumps. So I'm absolutely loving this and I cannot wait to work with it more and really intensify that relationship. It just feels like really, really juicy and yeah, so perfect for moon work, and love it, love it, love it, love it. An oracle deck that I picked up recently is the Angel Oracle by Ambica Waters. Now, I remember seeing this on several people's channels a long, long time ago and always thinking I'd like to get my hands on it someday, but it just wasn't the right time. And I've been searching for an Angel Oracle for a while, and I have a few other oracles that kind of are along the lines, some Doreen Virtue ones, but I didn't want another Doreen Virtue oracle. I wanted one that didn't sort of make me think along the lines that thinking about Doreen Virtue does now, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just, I do still have some of her decks and I enjoy them, but I think that I wanted something that wasn't tied anyway to that, and I wanted something that was going to be meaningful for me. And these have beautiful keywords. The Angel of Serenity, I feel serene and tranquil when I accept who I am. This is the kind of deck that I like to pull from in an evening, especially if I feel quite vulnerable. But I want something that's going to be honest and truth-telling and not too fluffy. I wanted something that's going to feel real and crisp and sort of like honest. I didn't want something that was just going to sort of like baby me, but I wanted something with angels in it and archangels, because I wanted that sort of sense of peace and calm, and I was feeling that a lot during lockdown, and this gives me that. And I love the gold edging. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful deck, and I've been really enjoying working with it. The only thing is, in this card, I saw the actress Kirstie Alley, and I can't get that out of my head, so that might be rather weird for me, I don't know, but this has been really enjoyable to work with for the last few months, and it's kind of been, it's been very comforting. Next up, I picked up a copy of the Mythic Tarot. I've had this on my wishlist for quite a while, and I was looking on eBay and I had my alerts on, and finally one came up. It was listed for maybe 70 and I put in an offer and I managed to get it for 45, which I think was such a good deal. So this is the Mythic Tarot by Juliet Sharman Burke and Liz Green, and it is out of print now. There is the new Mythic, which essentially is supposed to be the same deck, but it's just got different illustrations. And this has kind of been good doing the rounds as well, because I know Lisa from Supportive Tarot and also Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot have been talking about this quite a bit recently, and it is a really, really lovely deck. I don't know that much about the myths. I believe that they are Greek mythology. So far I've worked with this just very surface level, because this only came into my collection like a few weeks ago really, so it's all quite new to me. Lisa at Supportive Tarot did do a video after she worked with this deck for about a month, so listening to her reflections on the way she worked with it and some of the intensity around the myths, and you know, sort of working through the way the myths work with the particular cards was very, very interesting. So if you are interested to learn more about this deck, I would definitely go and watch that video. But yeah, I really do like the illustrations, and I prefer these illustrations to the new Mythic. And it's one that I just wanted because being out of print, and because I really, really enjoyed the way it looked, and I wanted to work more with the mythology as well. So far it's been just very surface level. I've done readings with it. It's been really nice to use, but I've not delved too deeply into the guidebook yet. So that is something that I am looking forward to doing soon. My copy did come with this original like tarot mat. It's kind of polyester and kind of faded and weird, so I probably won't use this, but this is the guidebook as well. It looks like it's barely been used, to be honest with you. So this is going to be perfect to delve into and learn more about and just get so much out of. So I'm excited by this deck. So 2020 I took a course, and as part of the course I received a tarot reading, which was a sexual magic tarot reading, and it was really, really fun. It was exciting and kind of scary, but it was so interesting, and it got me thinking about doing relationship readings and having more decks around like love and relationships. So I have a plan that I would like to get the Bubba Studios reprint of the Victorian Romantic Tarot, and that I would like to be kind of my main deck for love readings, with a plan to, you know, use that for readings for others. But I also do want to work more with some of the sexier decks. So I did order the Sexual Magic Tarot, which is a low Scarabeo deck, I believe, and I ordered it maybe almost 2 months ago now, and it's still not arrived. Something happened. It was supposed to be expected, then it was delayed, then it was supposed to be expected, then it was delayed again and again and again. So eventually I cancelled the order and I've reordered it, so it should be here within the week. I really, really hope, because I've been so excited to work with it, and because I couldn't really wait anymore, I decided to order another deck instead. So I ordered the Menara Tarot. I was looking at the Erotic Fantasy Tarot, but I decided to go for this one because I just prefer the art slightly. So this is with art by Menara, I believe, and this is again a low Scarabeo deck. It's the Menara Erotic Tarot. Comes with a little white book. So it's the Erotic Tarot of Menara. Translations by Studio RGE and Pietra de Chiara Luna for Portuguese. Art Tarot collection edited by Pietro Aligo. Diffusion and marketing. Okay, so this is the art of Menara. And it's really very naughty and kinky and kind of dark, some of it. So yeah, look away now if you're not into it. These are the backs. And it's kind of multilingual as well. You've got your elemental associations there. You've also got your zodiacal associations and planetary associations, which is really nice and helpful. And some really, really interesting ways to look at the cards. Now, I have heard some people say that they think that this deck doesn't correspond at all with the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, and to be honest, I haven't worked with it enough to know. I do think you could pull in your knowledge of Rider-Waite Tarot card meanings and correspondences, but again, I do think this is kind of going to be one of those decks that I'm going to work with really intuitively and see what comes out as I'm doing the readings. I think, yeah, like I said, some of these cards are quite dark, and so I'm not entirely sure whether or not I will enjoy working with this. I do like the art though, and there was something about it that I was just really, really drawn to getting. So I will have a little play with it and see what I think. But the plan is that I would like to do some love readings, that I'd like to do some sex readings as well, and that's just something that I'm hoping and planning for in the future. So this is kind of the beginning of the exploration of that and working with some more decks in this way. That is such a beautiful image. Isn't that beautiful? Stunning, stunning, stunning. It's kind of nice to have in my collection. I'm enjoying it so far. It's very, very fun. It's a really funny and interesting deck to work with. So let's talk about books now, and I have got some more books that I have recently picked up that I'm going to share in a separate video, because otherwise this video would be so long. But these are some of the books that I have been reading recently and absolutely loving. So first up is Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. So I read this book in December and I absolutely loved it. I featured it in a video months ago. I did buy this book, I think at the beginning of 2020, but it was on my list, on my reading list, but I only got to it in sort of December. And I really enjoyed this book. I think there was a lot in this book that really resonated for me. There's a lot that I learned, new techniques and such, but there's also stuff that I did sort of in my own way. So what I've been doing is practicing some of the exercises that Matt has suggested in the book, and I've also then been sort of adding them to my own practice and, you know, developing on them. I've also read another book around astral projection that I've been working with quite closely, and I think I might do another video on that separately. But yeah, so I've been working along those lines, working a lot with energy work and also using my intuition and trying to strengthen my psychic abilities. I really do love this book. I think that Matt is such a wealth of knowledge and understanding, and this book is perfect for beginners. This book is fantastic for those who are more advanced. This book is just a fantastic way to look at witchcraft as well, because there's a lot in here that you can delve into deeper, and you don't really need any tools at all to do any of this work. A lot of it is sort of basic energetic work, tapping into your intuition, learning to trust yourself more, but then there's also working with more spiritual planes as well. I love that Matt actually dips into the Celtic idea about the 3 souls, the 3 cauldrons. I have another book that I absolutely love, which kind of goes into that school of thought. Here is like an example of how it's kind of laid out, and they're sort of almost like energy centers, energy points within the body, so it's a little bit like the chakras but kind of completely different. But you have the wisdom, which is your sort of higher self, your movement, which is the middle self, and warming, which is the lower self technically. Here is a world tree, so you've got the lower, middle and upper, and it kind of connects to the world tree in that way. It's just been such a great book to read. Also this year I signed up to Audible, so I've been listening to some audiobooks as well, and this is a book that I'd like to get on audiobook as well, so that I can actually do some of the exercises in here with the audiobook, so I can practice even more with them. I think it's just such a fantastic book. I think for beginners, for intermediates and for advanced practitioners as well, there's so much in here. It's just fantastic book, one of my favourites that I've read in a really long time, so definitely would recommend. I have been reading Celtic Tree Magic by Daniel Forrest, which is Ogham Lore and Druid Mysteries. This is a beautiful book that goes through the different Ogham staves and the corresponding trees, and it talks about the different trees, it talks about energy work, and it talks about different rituals and things that you can work with the trees. It is a beautiful book. I've so been enjoying this, and I feel like it's deepened my connection with the trees, the land that I know. I've been taking some courses as well around tree recognition and plant recognition and stuff throughout the year, so I can get more aware of my environment and more connected to my environment and land spirits, and it's really helping me to have a real sense of connection, because I'm learning all the time about the land that I'm on and the plants, the native trees that are planted here, and it's really interesting. I've been absolutely fascinated by it, so this has been a really nice part of that. I did talk about one of my goals being to learn the Ogham. I have a set of Ogham staves which I think are so beautiful, and I will talk about them perhaps in another video. I haven't really worked with them that much yet. I'm still getting to grips with each Ogham, and I think it's going to be a long process, to be honest, learning. I could just go ahead and do it, and I probably will. It's just I haven't really sat down and done it. You know, there's a lot that I'm trying to learn and focus on, and because I have a job and I have 2 kids and I've been homeschooling as well over the last few months, there's been a lot going on, and you know, I'm not trying to give myself all these things to learn and set them out for myself and then like say I'm going to learn them like straight away. It's not going to be like that. You know, I started learning about tarot when I was 17. I'm now almost 35, so I did have a gap in between of a few years, but still it's a long process to learn, and I know it can be really overwhelming when you're new to something, because that's how I feel about the Ogham right now, is just completely overwhelmed. But I'm just not putting pressure on myself, basically. I'm enjoying each step as I learn, and I think that's a really key thing to remember, especially in this community, because we're all so excited about all these wonderful things that we want to learn, and there's this sense that, you know, you want to learn it all yesterday, you want to have read all the books already. But I actually love the process of learning, and that's actually one of the reasons why I feel innately that I'm a witch. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm always searching to learn, I'm always learning more, and I love exploring old bookshops and libraries, and it's just in me, it's just innately in me, that craving, that thirst for knowledge and understanding, and I enjoy the process so much, so I'm not putting pressure on myself. It'll probably take me years to understand and memorize and learn and start practicing Ogham, but this is a really key part of that, and this book has been really great. I've really enjoyed reading this book, and I will definitely reread it as well, and I'm referring back to it all the time. The Crooked Path by KELDEN. This is a fantastic book. I have loved reading this book. Traditional witchcraft is a path that really resonates for me. Not every single aspect of it, but a lot of it does, and a lot of it feels like it fits my practice, sort of folk magic practice and where I am based. So I've really enjoyed this book. It is a beautiful introduction into traditional witchcraft. It's non-biased, it talks about Wicca in a really respectful and beautiful way. I absolutely love listening to KELDEN. He has a fantastic YouTube channel as well. He's just a wonderful, wonderful person. I absolutely love his writing style as well. On the back here, Thorn Mooney, author of Traditional Wicca, who I also love Thorn, who is a Wiccan. Thorn has written a recommendation here. Also, there is an incredible foreword by Jammy, and Jammy has written a lot of traditional witchcraft books around the West Country, around Devon, around Cornwall. I have read Jammy book Silent as the Trees, which is about traditional witchcraft in Devon, and there's a lot of tales in there, and it's just a fascinating read. So that forward as well is really, really special. There's a lot of lovely exercises in here. There are some different rituals you can do and learn about. There's different spells, charms and amulets. There's a flying ointment as well that I have also played with, and I made my own version of a flying oil. Charm bags here for hedge crossing. There's so much here in this book that I just love, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Again, I think this is perfect for beginners, for people who are learning, but also I think it's got something for more intermediate practitioners as well. So I can't recommend this book enough. I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful book. And a book that I've really been enjoying recently is a secondhand book that I picked up from an Amazon seller. This is The Tarot by Richard Cavendish, and I believe this is out of print actually, so I think I was quite lucky in picking this up. This was first published in 1975 in Great Britain by Michael Joseph, and this copy that I have was actually published in 1986, which was the year of my birth, so I think that's wonderful. Now this really goes into the history, the origins, the legends, the universal key to the tarot. It talks about the Kabbalah, the 22 trumps, it talks about divination, different cards, the layouts. The history section at the beginning is fantastic. I so enjoyed reading about that, and actually I read part of it out to my husband. You've got here as well so many different keys which show you how each card has kind of evolved, and it's just fascinating. It's a fascinating, fascinating read, and I think there are elements in here that are slightly sort of out of date as well, but it's just a fantastic read and a really, really great book to have. It's got some colour as well here at the cloth there. So it's a really, really beautiful, well-rounded book, and I think just a fantastic study guide. You know, I love reading about the history of the tarot, and I'm just so glad to get my hands on this because it was out of print and really inexpensive. I picked mine up for a couple of pounds. Just fantastic, fantastic wealth of knowledge, and I've really, really enjoyed reading this. So now a couple of other bits. Journals. So I have a Book of Shadows, I have a tarot journal. These are not them. I will share those probably in another video soon in the future. These are some extra little things that I've been working with. The first is this Moon Menstrual Journal, and I believe this was an independent publisher, and I picked this up on Amazon. And I've not really been using this in the way I think you're supposed to. I will show you one that I've not filled out. Every month you have this, and you can chart your moon cycle. So obviously this is for menstruating people, but I'm sure that you could use a journal like this if you're not menstruating as well, because we all have cycles, and I'm, you know, working to track that, to understand it more, and to work through, you know, some things that are painful for me. So I've been tracking my menstrual cycle, I've been tracking it alongside the new moon and the full moon, and I've also been using the sections in here. You have plenty of places to write, but you have new moon sections here, and you can write about your intentions, setting new moon intentions, wiping the slate clean. How do you wish to feel? Do you believe that you can achieve these goals? Then you've got what you're grateful for, what you want to release, what you're manifesting, what you intend to do. Then you've got the first quarter moon. So you can go through each moon and talk about how you feel. Are you making progress on your new moon goals? Then you've got the full moon, what you want to release, etc. It's just really, really beautiful. You've got a section here for limiting beliefs, people you forgive, things you need to let go, and then the last quarter moon as well. There's so many places to write. I've actually been using this a lot in a kind of physical way. So I've been jotting down notes about where the moon is and what planets are transiting in my natal chart. So I've been making notes about that. I've been making notes about ritual ideas that I want to work with on the full and new moons and other parts of the moon cycle as well. I've been making notes alongside, you know, what is asked about, so wiping the slate clean, new intentions, etc. But I've also been charting my workouts in this, and it's really, really helping me to see what I've done the last time I worked out and how I feel now. The wheel as well is really, really lovely for charting how you're feeling. So I've written little notes about like, oh, if I was emotional on whatever day. And I actually think that you don't need to be menstruating at all to use this, because you can literally use it to map out your cycles, whether or not you're bleeding. I don't think it really makes a difference. It's got so many sections in it that you can fill out that will make sense to everybody. So if you're working with the moon, if you're looking to work with the moon cycles, this is a really, really great journal actually. It was very inexpensive, it was about £8. I just wanted something where there were some things already laid out for me, so I didn't have to think too hard. I don't think it really bothers me if I don't do something exactly as the journal prescribes, and because it's got all of this extra space, it's got several extra pages for notes, you can really make this your own. And I've really been utilising these parts to make notes about my natal chart and the transits that are happening at the time, and it's really just helping me to open my mind a bit. As I'm doing this, I'm also learning more about astrology as well, and I absolutely love the astrology podcast, so that has been something that I've just been loving listening to as well. There's also a book I picked up which I am starting to read, which I'm really enjoying. This is the only astrology book you'll ever need. There's some other astrology books that I've read, but I wanted something a little bit thicker, a little bit more meaty. This is the 21st Century Edition by Joanna Martin Woolfolk. It's been recommended by a lot of people. It's very sort of nice, easy reading, kind of little broken up sections, and it's a lovely book. So this is a really, really nice way to kind of expand on studies. I also picked up this Moleskine journal. I ordered one and it came and it was really tiny, so I was kind of disappointed, so I actually ended up spending more than I wanted to. But this is a dotted journal. So this is the kind of journal that a lot of people will use to bullet journal, and you could do that as well. But what I wanted to use this for was my astrology notes, essentially. So I wanted to create a book where I could put in information about my natal chart and important transits in my life at the moment, and just make notes going through it. You know, I will put in diagrams, I'll probably do some drawings, and I will put in printed out charts as well, and lots of writing. I do want to make it look pretty, but that's not really the goal. So it is going to be more of like an ongoing astrology journal that's personal to me, so I can learn as I go and keep like a record of my learning that's relevant for my chart, you know. So it's really going to be a very personal book for me, and I haven't started it yet. It is something that I'm going to be working on for the next few years. I also wanted to do the same with tarot, but again, I've been looking for the right book. I'm not sure that this would be the right book for that for tarot, but yeah, this is just the beginning stages of that kind of process, and I'm really, really excited about it. Finally, I've been working closely with the Earth Pathways diary, and my mum actually picked this up for me, and she picked one up for herself. She would not call herself a witch, but she has always been quite witchy in the way she works with the planet, and she's always done aromatherapy and worked with essential oils and stuff. There's a lot of witchy stuff about my mum. She's an arty person, but yeah, she probably wouldn't call herself a witch, but she's very supportive of my path, and she loves this too. She's really enjoying working through this. This is lovely because you have all of the moon phases for each day. It tells you when the moon is void, of course, and it's got information about the different seasons and things as well. So you've got beautiful art included that you can then cut up. You know, at the end of the year I'll probably go through and cut up a lot of this and put it in my book of shadows and such, and you've got some beautiful poetry in here. I've made notes on some of the weeks, but I don't particularly use it to make notes like, oh, this is happening as and when. I usually do write down key points in my menstrual cycle, but apart from that, I'm not really writing too much in here. It's more of a reference for me to see the different moon phases and what sign they're in, etc. It's a really just nice reference point, so you can just flip to the page and find out. And I've really, really been enjoying this, and they make a new one every year. It's a really, really nice thing to support as well. So yeah, this is Earth Pathways. Along with the astrology studies, I also did a natal chart reading with Samantha Menzo earlier in the year, and that was such a highlight. It was incredible speaking to Sammy, and honestly, some of the things that Sammy said, I was just like, whoa, like mind blown, because this and this. And we had a wonderful chat. You know, I really felt comforted by everything that Samantha brought. You know, she brought up stuff that was potentially challenging, but also stuff that's nourishing, and it was so well-rounded. And I've been a long time follower of Sammy and her YouTube channel, and I just absolutely love the work she does. And now that I've had a reading with her, I will definitely be going back and having more in the future. It's just a really, really fantastic thing to do if you want to get your chart read, if you want to understand more about certain placements, if you want to understand more about the transits that are happening right now. It's just fantastic to talk to Sammy, and her prices, I think, are really, really reasonable for the amount of detail, for the amount of care and attention. She's just fantastic, so professional, just wonderful, wonderful person, and I could not recommend having a chart reading with her more because she's like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to astrology. She's fantastic. So Sammy, if you're watching, thank you so much. It was a fantastic experience, and I will definitely be coming back to you again in the future. Another shout out to Kim at Abundant Life Tarot. I was lucky enough to win a prize in a recent competition she did, and I was so thrilled. It was so, so lovely. Kim is just one of those creators who, when I watch her videos, I just feel so warm and connected, and I love listening to her thoughts about her depth year and her experience in the way she reads as well, and just different experiences about being a reader as well. She's just fantastic, fantastic person. So warm and lovely. So I was lucky enough to win these two books. This is In Focus Meditation, Your Personal Guide by Jacqueline Towers, and In Focus Essential Oils and Aromatherapy, Your Personal Guide. And that could not be more perfect for me because honestly, like, aromatherapy and me, like, I absolutely love essential oils, and I've been working with essential oils for a very, very long time. My mum has, so this is just a perfect book for me. And just these books, aren't they just so, so beautiful? So I am loving these. And I was also thrilled to win this absolutely beautiful crystal, and it's a rough lepidolite, I believe it is, and it's just stunning, stunning. This is so soothing. This is the feeling I get from this. It's a beautiful, beautiful stone, and I do often put this on my table when I'm doing walkthroughs, so you might see this in a walkthrough video. That is just stunning. I don't really buy crystals anymore. I used to love buying crystals, but obviously it's very difficult to know how they're mined and such, but a piece like this is just so, so beautiful, and it's just lovely to win a piece like this. I just get this beautiful sense of peace, and I just feel so soothed by this. I just absolutely love it. So this has been so, so special, and I think Kim is such a light in the YouTube world. You know, she's just a wonderful, wonderful spirit and person. It was so lovely to win, and I'm just gushing, really. I'm sure when I finish this, I will turn off the camera and realise I've forgotten to share something, but I think that I will probably wrap it up quite soon. But there's one last thing I wanted to share, and it is something that is very, very close to my heart that my dad gave to me, and he is into woodwork, and he made for me some little goblets. So I wanted to share them because they're so, so beautiful, and I'm still not sure what wood he used for these. They're obviously different woods, but they are so, so beautiful. And so I've been using these on my altar as sort of like offering dishes. So I've been using this one specifically for the Morrigan, and so far I've not actually used this for anything, but I've just been using it for sort of dry offerings, sort of dried florals and herbs and such. But it is just so, so lovely on my altar, and I just feel like it's a beautiful thing to have because it was obviously made by my dad, and it feels very personal and lovely. So I'm thrilled with these, and I just wanted to share them because they're lovely. So finally, I'm at the end of this video, this long video about my recent favourites, what I've been enjoying, using and loving. So I really, really hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, see anything you like or got any inspiration at all, then please do click the like button, leave me a comment below if you have anything to share or any questions. I'd love to hear from you. If you did enjoy the video and you're not already subscribed, then please do think about subscribing, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit that little bell notification to be notified when I create videos just like this one. So with all of that said, thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you stay well and safe, and I look forward to seeing you in another video really soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.